Welcome to Garden Cafe. I'm Maureen, and this is my Texas Zone 8B 9A garden. Today I'm going to be working on the irrigation. I know that's scary for a lot of people. It was for me, but setting it up is really so simple. Once you get the mechanics of it down, you understand. So the reason why I'm working on my irrigation, I was going to wait until December, January, when I didn't have to get around all the plants, but I can't let this go any further, and let me take you in closer so you can see. My gardening obsession began about 5 years ago, and around this pond here was just ornamental grasses. Same with the front swoop. So I started the gardening in the front swoop. Then I moved along the side of the house. I only came partially this way, and then I really dug up everything, all of the ornamental grasses, and started doing flowers back here. Then the gardens expanded down along the fence. Folks, I created so many gardens, got ahead of ourselves, and it just, God bless my husband, took an excessive amount of time. I'm talking hour and a half, 2 hours of him out here watering everything for me every morning. So the irrigation really kind of ended up being a necessity. But I have to tell you, I don't know why we didn't do it from the very beginning. It's all set up to the sprinkler system, so it automatically goes off on the same days, and I can set the amount of time. And we don't have to water anything anymore. Should have done this from the beginning. I was intimidated by what was involved. It was so much easier than I thought. I have the irrigation set up so it goes along the fence. So all of the planters and several of the plants going down the fence get water. But what I did was in the front of the pond, I ran a soaker hose. And as you can see, no water's getting back here at all. I mean, the soaker hose sort of peters out about halfway through the garden here. And then it basically no more water comes through. So a soaker hose was not a good option. So I'll show you what I'm going to be using. So this is the hose that I will be using. And it has, every 6 inches, it has a hole, an emitter, where water drips out every 6 inches. Now, I thought the soaker hose would be the better option in the beginning because I figured it would just basically water the whole thing. But as I said, it just can't handle the length. So I'm going to pull that up and I'm going to put this in and I'm going to show you how easy this is. The first thing I'm going to do is try to pull up the soaker hose, which is very buried at this point. Oh, there we go. And try to do it in a way where I don't completely destroy some of the plants I have in here. This was a pink cashmere verbena, and I will put a photo of what it looked like in the spring and in the summer when it was getting enough water, and what it looks like now. Oh, well, you can see what it looks like now, but I'll put a picture of what it did look like. So I don't want to kill this. Just to show you the basic layout. So here's the pond. The hose goes back through here, all the way over to here, where we are lucky enough to have a faucet out in the yard. It's awesome. So from this faucet, we already have a splitter on it, and this side goes as an irrigation to everything down on the Mexican petunia fence to the right side of the house. And then this is just a solid hose leading the other way towards the pond to The solid hose goes along the fence, and then behind, I believe it's this bush here, might be right in the middle, is a splitter. Half of that splitter did go to the soaker hose, which we're getting rid of, and we're going to put in those the new hose with the 6-inch emitters. The other side of the splitter goes all the way along behind the waterfall and down the fence so it can water everything we need. The heat out here is still so brutal. Mid-October, I know the rest of the country, most of the country is probably enjoying beautiful fall days here. We are still dealing with the heat. Anyway, so behind these bushes, where the faucet is, there are lots of branches between these bushes and the fence, most of which are dead, obviously, because they don't get any light. So to comfortably get to the faucet that I need to access, I'm going to cut some of those branches out and pull them out so I have an easier way in. Goodness, there was something back there that had a vine with serious thorns. But let me see. I'm glad I cut it out before I tried to get back there. This is it here. I'm gonna have to look up what this is. But I should have a clear path to the hose now to hook up the new line. Oh, telling you folks, this is not difficult. The difficult part so far is just clearing out behind these bushes. But I'm going to bring the camera in so you can see where I hook it up. Before I hook up to the faucet, I want to get it all prepped. So since it's about 10 feet from where it's going to hook into the hose till where I want it to start watering, I don't want to waste all of those emitter holes and all that water for areas I don't want watered. So I'm going to be using my solid hose that I've been using for my other irrigation systems and branching off to water pots or specific plants. I'm going to use this solid hose to get me that 10 extra feet, 10 or 12, and then I'll hook it into the hose with the 6-inch emitters. So this is an adapter, and it basically just adapts from screwing onto an average hose to this that takes the tubing. And what you do with this is you just push it in, and there are some metal teeth or something, but it basically locks it in. So the water's just going to go down this hose. Super easy, as I told you. And this, I'm going to screw into the hose behind the bushes. So here is where that hose from the faucet comes in. And then I use a splitter, and this one went to the soaker hose, which we're not using anymore. And this side went to the irrigation that goes along 60 to 80 feet of back fence to water the pots and plants that I needed to have more water. So we're going to hook this in instead of the soaker hose. Pretty easy. And then this screws on. Not difficult in any way. Okay. All right. Now let's go out to the front. So right around here is where I want to start the line that has emitters, or basically holes, that will water every 6 inches. This is about where I want it to start. Get this stuff over. Okay. So this is the solid line that came out of the hose back there. And this is the one with the 6-inch emitter. To connect them, I'm going to use this. You put one in one side and one in the other. Very simple. Okay, and I have learned my hand strength is not fabulous. So I have learned that if you heat up the end of the tube to soften it for just a couple seconds, these go in much easier. And once it cools down, that's a very good seal. And I'm going to connect this other hose that will be watering everything. Let's see, that one looks like it has a bigger, yeah, still going to need to melt it a little. Again, my hand strength is not fabulous. I've just found this little trick really works for me. There. See, complete seal. Water will flow straight through. So now I'm just going to lay the hose where I want it around the front of the pond swoop. Now I'm just going to play with this. I want it to get to the other side of the pond where it really has not been getting any water. And I want it to go zigzag through, because what the soaker hose didn't do was get to every area. See, now you don't want to kink. You've got to be careful of that. All right, so I don't want to zig that much. You have to make sure that the tube does not get pinched off, because then the water will just come out of the other holes quicker. All right, I think I'll go forward here. And back through here. And I am going to be planting some moss roses that I took out of the front swoop back here. But now that I know it will be getting water, I can plant it back in these dead zones. Now you can get these pins, metal pins that basically just put these in place, and I think I will do that. But for right now, I just want to get the orientation of where I want the water to go. Number one, I'm totally going to need those spiky things that will hold this to the ground. That's fine. I'll order those. I'll probably have them here by tomorrow. But most important, to finish this off, and I think I only need about that much more. You need to put a cap on the end of the hose. Otherwise, the water will just run out and no water will go through those little emitters because this is the largest hole. Again, just heat it up a little bit. Comes with caps to it. Yay, and that's it. All right, next thing, let's test, see how this works. All right, it's time to test to see if it works. I just turned on this zone. And right side is working. The water is coming out. Yay. Okay, let's look at the other side. And along the front, looks like it's working just fine. There was a malfunctioning emitter right here that was spraying up water. So I cut it out and put another one of those connectors. So that's taken care of, and the water is getting through here. And over in the dead zone, the area I was most concerned about, yay! The water is coming through. It's working. I'm thrilled. Okay, so I'm going to turn this on tonight. But there we go. Process really is not that difficult. Truly, it was just getting back to the faucet. So the landscape spikes are in. They're pretty self-explanatory. Some of them just have like a little U-turn. This is more like a giant staple. And you just basically put them in the ground and it will hold your irrigation tubes exactly where you want them. It's really this simple. You just put it in the ground right where you want the irrigation to be located. And I'll put a few more going around the rest of the way. Over here is my bench garden, and to the right of it is a huge no-till garden my husband and I created last year. So all of this back in here is brand new. Now, the problem is here. Everything in here that I planted. I had a hydrangea back here. I had begonias. This one is still kind of alive. That one's on its way out. I had calancho through here. I had a lot of things through here. They all died. They all failed. I think what happened was the clerodendron, these big plants back here that I planted, and I'll put a picture of the flowers because they are worth it. I wanted something tall that would cover this fence and, you know, give me lots of color from the dining room window. But the leaves, the lower leaves, I didn't even think this would occur, but the lower leaves blocked the sprinkler system from getting water to all of these plants, and I didn't realize that was the problem until probably too late, as you can see. Now, I did take the lower leaves off of the clerodendron, but that still doesn't give enough clearance, I think, to get water out here. So, since I have extra hose, I have an irrigation hose running back along the fence. I'm going to put in a T, and I'll show you how I do that, to run that 6-inch irrigation line through here as well. So all of this will get some water in the future. Okay, so as you can see, I have a few lines coming off of this here, going to the pots on either side of the bench. So I'm going to create another branch right, let's say, actually, I think I may go farther along the line. I'm going to branch out right there. And what you have is, it's a T coupler. Oop, need to pick it back up. It's a T. So I will cut into the water line. I will insert these two to reconnect the water. So the water will flow straight through, but it will give me an out to then go to the areas that are not currently getting water. Pretty simple. Again, I heat these up for just a few seconds. It's just easier for me to get these seated properly. There we go. That's one side. And the other side. All right, that looks good. And I'm going to now attach the tangled. Where's the end here? There we go. The hose that has the emitters every 6 inches are going to go here. All right. Ooh, get that in. That looks good. All right, let's back up and look at what we have. And actually, since I have so much more line than I thought I would, I know this azalea is not really getting enough water. So I'm thinking I'm going to run it behind the tree, through the azalea, and then back through this area zigzagging, using those staples to get everything the water it needs. Okay, so that's it. Pretty quick and easy, other than this, God, heat. I can't stand this heat anymore. Looking for cooler weather. But the last thing that's remaining is putting a cap on the end so the water doesn't just run out of the tube. Now I'm finished and I'm ready to start dreaming about all the things that I want to plant back here. Well, that's it for the big project today. God, 96 degrees, October 15th, people. But I'm finished with this. I have a lot of other just basic chores, watering and things like that of the pots that are on the porches to do. Other than that, we're done. Now I'm lucky, as you saw, I have a faucet in my yard against the back fence away from the house. If you only have faucets on your house, which most people do, you can get a tube, a 3/4 inch tube with a splitter, just like you saw back there, and you can just dig a little trench underneath wherever you want to take off from to water whatever you want to water. It is difficult to get it first set up, just energy-wise, but once it's done, folks, it takes so much off of your plate. Trust me, it's so worth it. If you enjoyed my video, please hit subscribe, like, and share. It really helps me to grow my channel. Have a wonderful day.